And they have 5 chances to rewrite their timed writings, and so we have just done bukus of practice. And so it's kind of, I didn't know anything about me taking this course, but it just so happens that I have progressively added practice to my teaching strategies, and so that's why I'm kind of excited to see if the scores turn out well. So that's kind of what my methods would be. Obviously the data sets will be the scores. I don't really need any forms because it's all, you know, I don't have to use names. And my intervention would be practice, in the hopes that practice does make perfect, or at least 1-4. I'm just shooting for 1-4. And let's see, I think that's, obviously the constants would be me, the curriculum content, and then the dependent variable, I think, is the amount of test practice. Oh, yes. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
Definitely.
Should have gone faster. Should have something.
So, what's the independent variable?
Me.
No, the independent variable.
Best test scores.
Oh, yeah, the test scores.
The independent variable is the one that is being changed, it's being controlled, it's being
The practice.
manipulated.
Practice.
The practice?
Now a test practice.
Oh, so I got that flip-flopped.
You got that flip-flop.
Okay.
All right. So, what is the dependent, the one that depends, or the one that we think will
Test scores.
depend on how much
Test
practice?
scores.
The AP test.
The AP, yeah. the
Yep,
test
that's
itself.
it. Got it? Make sense?
Yes, sir.
And then after I get the scores, obviously I'll, that little thing that he gave us, the little template is really cool. I'll enter those data, and I'll probably have to do it, manipulate that in a certain way. But then I'll just analyze it myself to see if the scores improve. And then my big thing is, yeah, the scores might improve, but I have to determine, did the test practice influence the scores? That's when I have to start looking at, are these kids just smarter kids than my previous 2 years, and those kinds of things. And that's where the real cool analysis is going to be, is that if test practice had anything to do with it. And that's hopefully going to be something that I can figure out.
What other kind of data do you have on the kids besides their test scores? Something else that you might use to say, oh, these kids are pretty much the same as the other kids?
I was thinking GPAs, SAT scores, ACT scores, graduation tests, EOCTs. I can do,
You don't have EOCTs from 2 years ago, do you? Oh, you do?
and I'll have them this year, but I won't, from here on out I won't have, I don't think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have.
We start
and
on
it's
this
because
week.
it's American Lit, and
Yep.
they have to take American Lit.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And some possible subordinate questions to address would be things like, did gender play a role? Did I really find out that girls are smarter than boys? Hopefully, the research will prove that practice does indeed make perfect.
Yay.
Like I said, that's my goal, 3, 4, and 5s. And these are
Awesome.
my references.
Very good.
Great job.
Just a quick example while Diane's getting ready here. Somebody had asked earlier on, is there ever a time when you don't want to find statistical significance? And when Sherry is checking the data, let's say from the EOCTs of her kids from 2 years ago, last year, and this year,
You don't.
if she didn't find any statistically significant difference in the EOCTs, then that would reinforce her argument that that it wasn't a difference in the kids or how smart they are, that it really is a difference in their practice for the test.
That's my method.
Y'all remind remind me, we are going to do something like this again, our very last night of class, not for our next course, but for our last course, right before Thanksgiving. Do not let me forget. You're going to email me your PowerPoints, okay? I'm gonna put them all on one flash drive, and we're just gonna,
Yeah. Let's do that.
don't let me forget.
He said, when we do a PowerPoint presentation,
Following
we'll put it on the flash
similar
drive.
to Heather's, and that kids are continuing to struggle in reading. Many students continue to struggle in reading even after years of continued emphasis on being at or above grade level by the end of third grade. And this expectation is part of like the No Child Left Behind of 2001, and also Georgia's Reading First program of 2007. So those are expectations. I don't know, has anybody else heard that your students should be reading at or above grade level by the end of third grade?
Oh, yes.
So,
What measure are you using
um,
to measure it? What do you mean by on grade level? I'm sorry, I didn't know.
okay, we're gonna do the review,
I'll ask it then.
or ask, yes. All right, next. The National Reading Panel reported anemic awareness as one important area to improve reading skills. It reported the National Reading Panel of 2005. And then according to Shanahan, phonemic awareness is the ability to hear and manipulate the individual sounds within words and falls under the broad heading of phonological awareness. Then also Gillen in 2005 stated, although many factors influence literacy development, phonological awareness, the explicit knowledge of the sound effect of words is crucial to early reading development. So in looking at that and wanting to help them be better readers, and with my speech background, we have this, a lot of the RTI students and some of the students on my caseload, we've been doing this computer-assisted instruction addressing phonological awareness. So my question is, how can a computer-assisted instruction program addressing phonological awareness skills have an effect on at-risk first grade readers? In August, all the first graders at Cooper Elementary will be invited to participate in a research study. And here's the parent letter, and I am going to ask for them to write their name and sign and date a formal letter. I will give it out at registration to all the first grade teachers, and I just want to have them give it out because to get a bigger study, research study, asking the parents if they'd like their child to participate. All right, at Cooper Elementary, first graders should enter on a Rigby level 4. So with permission, students on a Rigby level 3 and below will qualify as a participant. So from that group, all of those that turned in their forms with permission, I will get 2 groups, treatment and control, and they will be randomly selected. And at our school, every grade level has an area where they will post the students. They kind of so you see the levels 1, 2, 3. So all of those students, I feel like there's a pretty good sample. There may even be more due to summer regression. But these are the rising kindergartners, so we have that measurement. Follow those rising kindergartners into first grade, and the teachers will be doing the Rigby when they come in, and also usually the end of the 9 weeks they'll do another one, so I'll have their data. Also, myself will give a phonological awareness skills inventory that addresses rhyming, syllable blending. Has about 20 tasks, and it goes on up to the phoneme segmenting. And what I can do is I can see where they miss, and I can look on the computer program and start them on that task. So I can look at where they are, and I also want to do a post-test of this at the end of the 9 weeks. All right, the treatment group will receive 2 sessions, 15 minutes, twice weekly for 8 weeks using the Hill Builder Phonological Awareness CD program. And that program, I'm trying to do it the first 30 minutes of the day when they enter. or the last 30 minutes to not get into the instructional schedule. And so this is an experimental research design where the treatment group will get the Here Builder CD. They'll pre and post Rigby, pre and post the phonological inventory and classroom instruction, and versus the control group will not have the Here Builder, but they will have the other three, pre and post. And I'm using the T-test and effect size template from the phonological awareness inventory, and then looking at the Rigby levels. I will use that to compare the results. And then bar graphs will display the demographics as to gender, race, and other school criteria or school supports. And then those are my references. In listening, I feel like I will use that gains measurement, the pre and post test of those two instruments.
I think that'd be a good idea, yeah.
And that hopefully, there will be a statistically significant score comparing the two groups of treatment versus the control group. And there is another research, one study that's been done on using this program, but it was with a variety of students, and mainly ELL students. So I'm interested to know, because my concern is, like they're saying the kids aren't coming in reading, and a lot of teachers are saying they just don't have that basic listening, knowing the sound, the awareness, can rhyme. So if this program, which we do start with our RTI kids who are struggling in reading, if this program is successful, or this is one study, then I feel like that maybe they'll buy more of these and then have it as perhaps an RTI or intervention, like for Success Maker or any of those, if kids need it. And I've heard some schools, they automatically have certain programs similar to this, like aerobics, it's just a given that they start kids on.
So this is the way you find out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is English or what?
Yes. This, what I like about this is you can put as many students as you want on it, and it will record down and give you percentages.
What's it called?
Peer Builder, phonological awareness through Super Duper. It's not as expensive as aerobics.
They have other ones too, and they're like following directions.
Oh,
They
you're
do
right.
auditory memory.
Yeah,
and-
yeah, they have other ones.
No, go ahead.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And Diane, if
Yes,
I
sir.
followed it right, the actual Here Builder program is what's being evaluated through your study. The fact that you're doing the Rigby and the
Phonological awareness.
phonological awareness, those are simply measures that you're taking in order to determine the effects of Here Builder versus not having Here Builder, right? Either which way, the kids are going to be getting support in building their phonological skills and their phonemic awareness and so forth. But it's really the question of how much does this computer-assisted program, right?
Right.
How much does it seem to help in developing the kids? And how many kids did you say?
Well, I'm going to give it to the first graders, out to the teachers
Okay,
and see
well,
how
that'll be quite a
many.
few then.
But the thing will be how many are at Rigby level 3 and below.
Oh, I see. And that was
But
kind of
looking
that
in there,
chart that
it
you
was,
had.
a lot of kids were falling in
An
that
awful lot of
line.
kids are there,
Yes.
so that sounds like you got enough kids. Good, good, good.
Is that posted, like, where's that bulletin board? Where's that bulletin?
Oh, that's in one of the classrooms.
It's like
And they're just little sticky notes with the name, and then they have it by the teacher, the color, and then they have by,
It's a collaboration.
a collaboration meeting. I know, every class, so you know exactly where your kids are. They circle, or I believe if they're ELL,
Do the
they
kids see this?
tell you if they're.
No, it's a team,
No.
it's an
Oh, it's empty.
it's a collaborative.
That's why I was back away, I didn't want to see names.
Yeah,
But the
first
kids
I
don't
was
see it.
like, "When you start bulletin board?"
They wouldn't be able to read it anyway.
Okay, folks, are we ready for home language experiences?
Yes, we are.
Okay, for my research, I'm gonna be looking, into home language experiences of young children. And basically, as background, home language experiences, encompass basically things that you do with young children at home, that pertain to reading type activities. Like most of us as parents, we read to our child every night, we talk about the pictures, we ask them questions about the story, we point out things, make connections, with things that we read and things in real life. Well, unfortunately, we know that doesn't happen with everybody, and as a kindergarten teacher, you can almost automatically see the kids that come in and you're like, well, I can tell that this child's never been talked to, probably hasn't been read many stories their whole life, and number one, it's really sad, but number two, you can also see a difference in their, pre-reading skills and their oral language and vocabulary skills when they come to kindergarten. So I wanted to see, and I don't know if this word is used correctly, I wanted to see if there's a correlation between the literacy experiences in the home and the children's language development when they enter kindergarten. Is that the correct use of correlation?
Help us out, folks.
Yes.
It's the same children, right? Their experience at home.
Wait, is experience at home something that could be measured along a continuous scale from low to high?
Yes.
Yes, and I will get to how I'm gonna try to measure this.
That was the right answer. Well, I mean, if the answer is yes, then we're getting there. How about, so that's one variable, what's the other one?
Language development.
Language skills.
Language, can that be measured along a continuum?
Yes. Okay, so this is my problem.
It's correlation.
This is my topic or my problem. Let's see. I have 3 articles, Evans and Shaw, Burgess, White Longan, and several other people. They connect home language, I don't know how to spell those names. They connect home language experiences with reading and language development in young children. And I have found lots of articles that show the importance of these experiences in the home and how basically the students' language, vocabulary, literacy skills when they come to school. My research question is, how do home literacy environments of young children impact their language development? And this is going to be evidenced by their pre-reading skills when they enter kindergarten. One thing that I'm interested in investigating is in Morgan County, probably like most counties, children can receive free books in the mail from birth to age 5, and it's free. The parents just have to take time to sign up for it. So our pre-K coordinator in the county keeps lots of data on students that receive these books, and he likes to look at how they score on several different assessments when they come to kindergarten. And he is our pre-K coordinator, but he also kind of works for the First Foundation, so he's trying to, I guess, see if there's a correlation. So thinking about that, I wanted to first see the kids that get the books and those that don't, and then also investigate the literacy experiences that parents provide at home, whether they receive the books or some may not. And I want to see how the kids perform on the DIBELS and the G-KIDS baseline assessments at the beginning of the school year. And okay, next slide touch this. The first thing that I will do, I'll probably wait till like the 2nd or 3rd week of school, because kindergarten parents get tons and tons of paperwork at the beginning of the year. I want to kind of wait till those things come back in, and then I'm going to send out a parent survey that will ask several questions about basically the home literacy environment that they provide for their children, which of course I know parents might put, answers that they think would be socially appropriate or the right thing to do. So I guess that will kind of be a variable. And in this survey, I'll also ask, for their permission for their child to participate in the survey. I'll ask questions like, do you read books with your child? How often do you read to your child? What types of interactions do you have with your child while reading? Such as, do you discuss the pictures? Do you ask questions? Provide additional information related to the content of the book. And so this would be the scale from, I guess, I don't know what my scale will be, but I will have a scale.
We'll work on it.
Yes, we'll work on that. So this will be the parent portion, and then, at the beginning of the school year, all the children, they, I guess they're given the Dibbles assessment where, initial sound fluency and letter naming fluency are assessed. So I'll look at that. And then the G-Kids baseline assessment will assess, print concepts, letter names and sound production, their oral language skills and vocabulary skills. So I'll look at those two measures, the Dibbles and G-Kids, to kind of come up with a, I guess a score per se for their language skills. And then I will, see if there is a correlation between, the experiences they receive at home from the parent survey and their scores on those assessments. I'm gonna do my research at Morgan County Primary School. There should be approximately 240 kindergarten students, and I hope to have at least 200 participants maybe. And I was wondering, is it against, like I guess a code of conduct to give a reward for children who return their survey / permission form?
Not at
Like your
all.
teacher will give you this sucker if you bring this paper back? I mean,
It is very common in this kind of research environment to do that. In fact, I got one that a principal was passing along to me just last week that had a $2 bill on it. And this is a common survey technique, by the way. The idea is you put money, I mean literally cash, on the survey and indication in hopes that the person will feel kind of obligated to complete it.
I was thinking about.
So, and I was gonna ask the principal if I could do that, but I wasn't sure, but that's okay. But you would say that would
I would
not
say
be
it's
unethical
I would not
to
say it's.
basically bribe these children to bring this back. Now, their parents don't necessarily have to sign it,
Right.
but if I at least get it back, I know whether they consent or not.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm gonna try that.
And another, just an aside here, folks, you check these things out with your principals and so forth, make sure it's okay with them too. But I recommend to our principals and teachers that they get consent a lot of times just through email. You know, I don't.
There's your documentation.
I think there's nothing wrong with the forms that you send home, you get the signature on it, like we've always done. But I think we've got just as much, if not maybe a little bit more, in the way of, assurance from parents. If we get an email back from parents, says, sure, that's fine. So whatever's easy, it's partly what's easy on you, and especially what's easy on the parents.
And the last things through my research, I plan to find a correlation coefficient. Okay. To see the relationship between the home literacy environments of students, and this will be based on the survey information, and the students' pre-reading and language skills, which will be based on the 2 assessments that they will be given. So, and then, that's the end. So, this is a correlational study.
We're in here in a whole midst of a whole class of researchers using research talk, and we know what we're talking about. That's a great job.
1 minute, right?
Yes.
waiting for everyone.
Sorry, I didn't wanna be in that.
I'll just wait for them to finish. Alright, I plan to research teacher attitudes toward inclusion of students with special needs in the regular education classroom. The problem is that attitudes toward inclusion can be positive or negative. And as every coach has said, attitude is everything, right?
That's right.
So if a teacher has a negative attitude toward inclusion, it impacts everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, the literature that I have reviewed so far varies greatly. For example, Wang and Evans found in Seoul, South Korea, that 41% of regular education teachers had positive attitudes toward inclusion, whereas 55% had negative, and they didn't want to have an inclusion class. However, in Ghana and Botswana, a study was done at the universities with student teachers, and the student teachers had slightly positive attitudes toward inclusion. Another study that was conducted in Greece, which was very interesting, was talking about inclusion of students with disabilities in the regular PE classes. And the results of the study in Greece was that all PE teachers in Greece are totally cool with students with disabilities in their classes. They have very positive feelings about it. My research question is, what are my fellow teachers' attitudes toward inclusion? There are other questions I have as well, and they all relate to correlation. Like, is there a correlation between years of experience and a positive or negative attitude toward inclusion? Is there a correlation between the number of trainings or staff developments a teacher's had for working with students with disabilities, or trainings in inclusion to a positive or negative attitude toward inclusion? And is there a correlation between the highest level of degree a teacher has obtained, between that and a positive or negative? So the method I am using for answering these questions is a survey questionnaire. The survey will collect background data about the responders, what they teach, the year's experience, their highest level of degree that they currently hold, and the number of trainings that are related to special education. Also, I will use a Likert scale to assess attitudes toward inclusion. I will conduct the research in August of 2012 at Loganville Middle School, and I will analyze the percentages and background information to see if there are any significant correlations. And here is a copy of my survey, and I would like y'all to look at it, and if you see anything on here that you would think that I should change, or any suggestions you have, or if you want to fill it out, and then during the July, I can play with y'all's numbers and try to figure out how I can do it in August.
Oh, good.
Is that okay?
It's great. So you are the expert panel for Melody's survey design.
And so you don't have to. And also, with regard to consent, on the survey I have, at the bottom of the survey it says if you choose to complete the survey and return it to me, you are giving consent to be a part of the research. So it's kind of not really a passive one, it's just.
Well, it's a whole lot different when you're talking about teachers than when you're talking about kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do not have, one of the questions on your rubric was, how will it affect students? And mine's not really affecting students, so. Please raise your hand if I have not got to you yet. You've got a copy of it. And there's also the references on the back of the, I adapted this from the one that was used in South Korea.
So are you talking about all special ed or?
Inclusion, basically. Because it's very popular in Walton County, Public Schools to have inclusion. Like, for example, In 8th grade, we have no resource. And in high school, we have no resource. You're either
That's what the-
self-contained
well, that's-
or,
That's the law says, the federal law says inclusion,
Yeah, that's
inclusive
inclusive law.
classrooms are the push.
yeah, because it's